Hey guys, I wanted to address long distance riding on a sport bike and my EBR 1190 RX in particular. I just rode from Wisconsin to Florida in 2 legs. The first one day going from East Troy, Wisconsin to Decatur, Tennessee, kind of in between Chattanooga and Knoxville. And then the second leg going from Tennessee to Jacksonville, Florida. Ran great. It was very comfortable. It doesn't look like it'd be very comfortable, but it really is. A couple things helped out for me. One, in this particular bike, the seat here is really long, so you have a lot of room of travel. So if you're sitting up at the front like you normally do and you start to get tired, you can easily stretch your legs, push back a little bit, and sit farther back in the seat. Very simple. For me, I tend not to do the lower drop pegs like most do. I know if you go to lower pegs, you can make your legs stretch out a little bit more, and it might be more comfortable. But for me, what I found was I could actually put the balls of my feet on the peg, and then with my arms down in the lower clip-on position, I could rest my elbows on my knees. And that made it to where I had less weight on my arms holding them up. So that actually became more comfortable for me. I think if I did the drop pegs, it might be comfortable more on my legs, but less on my arms. Taller windscreen helps. Makes it a lot easier to tuck underneath the wind and get out of the wind. Not just when you're tucked, but even when you're just sitting on the bike in a normal position. I found if I just slouched just like about an inch or two, I could get under the wind without having to crouch. So if I wanted to straighten my back, I could still do that and not get blasted by the wind. For long distance riding, you need to know where you're going. So of course I got the GPS mounted. The bikes don't come with an accessory socket, so your GPS would only last as long as your battery would go. But I had this one installed next to the dash there. It's a powerlet, low profile socket, so it fits in a smaller confined space and works great. They make cables that connect to just about any kind of device. This is with a mini USB. They also make a micro USB for my cell phone. But that worked great, and I've got a ram mount attached to the damper. It's not a perfect setup. The damper does have vertical travel, so especially on bumpy roads, this would wobble a bit, but it did the job, so I really can't complain very much. It was great. I always suggest to reset your trip odometer every time you fill up. I know on this bike I was getting about 120 miles or so before the reserve light would come on, so I had to kind of plan accordingly. If you're up in the mountains and there's only an exit every 20 miles, you want to know where you're at in terms of your gas so you don't run out of gas. But I think that's it. Oh, I did have a saddlebag set up to carry most of the weight. I also had the Mach 5 backpack, which is probably the best backpack you can get for riding and avoiding the wind. But even so, you still want to keep as little weight on your back as possible. I chose not to use the hydration pack because I started to look at the weight of that water sitting on my back the whole time and figured it'd be better just to wait until I stopped for gas. So that was my setup. If you have any questions, let me know. I did about 2,500 miles over 4 days of riding. And when I got off each time, even at the end of a long day of 17 hours of riding, I was fine. I was still walking around. I didn't feel like my back was killing me or my legs were sore or my arms hurt. Worked great. Oh, one little addendum. I did purchase the Go Cruise, or the Omni Cruise, as a little throttle control, and it helped a little bit in the beginning. What you do, basically, for those who don't know, is when you're on the throttle, you can rotate this down and it'll hold against the brake lever, so you can let your arm off and it holds your throttle. I had to play with it a handful of times to get the tightness just right, so that it would hold the throttle, but it wouldn't be so tight that I couldn't let off the Omni Cruise easily. Ended up on the way back, I didn't even use it once. I used it on the way up, just to kind of give my arm a way to relax my right arm, take it off the handlebar, and not slow down, so I could actually keep it off for a mile or two at a time. But on the way back, I kept it on the bike, but I didn't actually end up using it. I don't know if my arm was just kind of used to the position, but that's me. And I'm not some 20-year-old, 100-pound kid who goes on long distance riding all the time. I'm 36, weigh about 220, 5'10", don't have super long legs or anything. And this was by far my longest trip ever. So it worked for me. Your experience may vary. Thanks a bunch.